Water transportation is a kind of transportation by using water. It means the process of moving people or goods by boat, ship over a sea, ocean, or river. It is an important mode of transportation and it is cheapest mode of transporting bulky goods or perishable goods compared to other transports. Water transport is also called the maritime transports or ocean transport and hydraulic effluvial transport, or more generally, the waterborne transport. Water transportation does not require road construction. It is much cheaper because the friction of water is far less than the land. The energy cost of water transportation is lower.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, today, I will report water transportation vehicles and history water transportation. And before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Jane Migalian, 20 years of age, BSHM1 Aspen. Water transportation vehicles. Water transportation vehicles for long distance travel, commuting, cruising, racing, and off-road riding. There are numerous examples of water vehicles which are mentioned below. Example of water transport vehicles: motorboat, cargo ship, speedboat, sailboat, yacht, ferry, canoe, raft boat, battleship, cruise ship, jet ski, windsurfer, riverboat, submarine, and tugboat. And now, let's move on to the next topic, the history of water transportation. Water transport can be undertaken either along inland rivers and canals or across oceans. This distinction is pertinent since the two types have different backgrounds and vary in importance. Rivers, if naturally navigable, have always been used for transport for many years ago. But only during the last 2,000 years have canals been specially constructed in a large scale. Although both Egypt and China do have canals dating back more than 2,000 years. Britain pioneered inland water transport but now the little use for it, owing amongst other factors to the narrowness and shortness of her canals.
Good day, I'm Benito Tobukal III, and my report for today is all about the type of water transportation. Water transportation is a process of transporting or transferring any matters that may only be carried by any water transportation. There are types of water transportation, and these are the inland transport and the ocean water transport. Inland water transport is the system of transport throughout all navigable rivers, lakes, and man-made canals. Many large rivers in different parts of the world are used by ships and barges of transportation. The main rivers where inland water transport is important are the Rhine and Danube in Europe, Zaire in Africa, the Nile in Africa, and the Lower Niger in Nigeria. Other include St. Lawrence in Canada and the Mississippi in the USA, etc. The ocean water transport. The ocean waterway carry a lot of the world's trade. The majority of the bulky goods, materials, and passengers pass through ocean waterways from one country to another of the cheapest cost. Various forms of vessels sail in two heises. Sa akong pagsabot, ang inland water transport ang tawag sa mga barko or barge na nag-agi sa inland waterways, canals, rivers, and lakes. Mga example sa inland waterways. Inland waterways transport kay mahitabo within the marked territory rasad. Kumbaga, ang near area rasiya makatransport, while ang ocean water transport kay bisag asa siya makadeliver or makatransport.
Good day everyone, I am Jundi Fernandez Anipa, and for today's video I'm going to tackle about examples of vessels sailing on the high seas. The passenger liners. These vessels carry mainly passenger, mail, and highly valued goods. However, these types of vessels operate on scheduled routes. Cargo liner. These vessels combine freight with passenger. They also keep scheduled routes like the passenger liners. Cargo liner are well suited for the transportation of perishable goods because of the provision of inbuilt refrigerators in most of them. Tramps. They are other kinds of vessels used in high areas that are dependent cargo to boats that have no scheduled time and place. These vessels sails only when they have enough cargo to carry. Trams are only designed for carrying goods. Oil tankers or VLCC, a very large crude carrier. An oil tanker and refrigerated ships, these vessels are only designed for carrying oil and perishable goods such as fish, meat, and dairy products, and wines. An oil tanker has a capacity between 200,000 to 400 tons or tonelada.
Good morning everyone, my name is Gina Rayurshan and I am from BSHM1 Aspen. So I am here in front of you to tackle about the advantages of water transportation. So what are the advantages of water transportation? Water transportation involves a low running cost which makes it the cheapest form of transport system over long distances. Large vessels especially run economically since fuel cost can be spread over greater quantities. Distance does not add greatly to total transport cost. It has the capacity of conveying heavy and bulky cargoes. Water transport has a natural route network that is free to use. This allows flexibility of service, frequency of movement, and little congestion except where water channels are narrow, as in the case of the Straits of Dover. Canals provide good access along their line sides and also encourage the development of industry and commerce. Some tours have grown largely through their connection with canals. For instance, Store Port. It causes relatively little environmental pollution, but sometimes all discharge from tankers seem to be the major problem to this mode of transportation. Water transportation is the cheapest form of transport system over long distances. Yes, it is the cheapest, one of the cheapest form of transport system over long distance. So, like for example, if you want to go to the other country, the other places. You're from here in Cebu and you wanted to go in Mindanao, and yet you have your own car. Of course, even if you have your own car, you cannot go in Mindanao without riding a boat, riding a barge, fast craft, or another kinds of water vehicles. So, yes, I suggest you have to pick and choose the cheapest form of transportation, which is the water transportation. And like the air transportation really costs a lot of money. Another is water transport has a natural route network that is free to use. So of course, one of the advantages of water transportation is their route. So to have a flexible service, then they have to have the route. They have to have the specific route, right? To go in that specific place also. Water transportation is good at all. To me as a traveler, of course, as a person, as a student, it is good for me when I am not really a rich person. So if you don't have any money and you think water transportation is good in your end, then you ride water transportation. Aside from having the cheapest form of transportation, in a long distance, it doesn't add greatly to total transport cost. So it means there's no changes. So if ever you go somewhere, the fare is still the same. No changes. Fare is fare. let's proceed to the disadvantages of water transportation. So this mode of transportation is very slow compared to road transport, hence it is unsuitable for perishable goods and urgent cargoes. So this mode of transportation is slow, yet it is also unsuitable for perishable goods and urgent cargoes. And in the advantages, it is yes, it is the cheapest form of water transportation, right? We already know that. But it is time consuming, and it is also good for carrying a heavy and bulky goods. But remember not to put perishable goods and urgent cargoes, because there will be a possibility that perishable goods that you bring will break in etc. Then there may be delays at locks and docks, while navigation may be impeded majorly due to poor weather conditions. So if also there are typhoons, so it is also very dangerous to us, very dangerous to the passenger, right? So another is it is unsuitable for short distance journeys, since transshipment is both costly and time consuming. Riding a water transportation is time consuming. So another, canals are costly to build, maintain, and dredge, and also follow inflexible and circuitous routes. An adequate supply of water may be difficult to obtain, and the limited dimensions of barges may be too small for modern requirements. Building your canals for the barge to go in that routes, then think of the way, and don't ever do such things that will ruin your things. Like, yes, it is too hard for us to find out, to determine where can we put canals, where can we build that canals, right? So it has a limitation. The dimensions has a limitations. Especially in waterways, it is very hard because it is water, right? Unlike road. Then another is, as ships increases, the number of ports capable of receiving oceans carrying vessels is declining. This results in less flexible routes and services for the movement of such commodities, as all supertankers, for instance, cannot use Suez Canal, and large ships can no longer enter the smallest port except the modern nonsense, which are very few. So, as what I've said a while ago, building a canals is very hard. It is very hard for us to determine and find out where can we build that canals.